welcome everyone to another exciting AFB event. This is a different event, really, as a speed networking. So just imagine you going on a networking event, really, on a Thursday, Friday, and basically just just having fun to meet a couple of people. You remember in this kind of when it comes to networking event, really, you could talk about anything from sports, football to entertainment. There's no rules to networking, really. It's whatever you want to talk about. Hold on, let me just let people in. So, one second. There's a slide change in everyone's screen. Okay. All right, that's it. Yeah. In terms of those people new to AFBE, just to let you know, AFBE Association for BMA Engineers. What we do is we engage both students and working professionals in different events. Really, our ultimate aim is to try improve the number of improve diversity in engineering through a range of events such as Transition, which GE normally runs. It's basically a mock assessment center setting where people get the CV and cover letters being checked by our industry professionals. We also have the mentoring program, which basically offers both professionals and student. Really, we have the networking, which is what we're doing right now. Real project roundtable where people could basically come together and voice out their opinion and any discussions you want, really. And the Making Engineering Heart as well, which is quite important for school kids to basically get familiarized to familiarize themselves with the engineering industry. In terms of what we're going to be talking about today. Now, funny enough, when we hear the word addiction, people normally think it's something quite negative. But question to people is, does anyone know you could actually be addicted to something good as well? There's something called, I got a B in biology, so I'm not really a biologist or whatever, but I got this off the internet. It sounded cool anyway. There's something called dopamine. It's basically what triggers the excitement or even emotion in the body. It's something that gets you addicted to certain stuff. It's also sort of like sugar, and to lead it to move forward on what we're going to be talking about today as base of the speed networking is basically instant gratification. We talk about patience, really, in this day and age, and I'm starting to think patience has become something that's a myth. We look at banking system back in the day. I'm guessing in my grandfather's days anyway, for you to actually check your account balance, you had to walk, I don't know, 20-30 minutes to the bank and stand there, and someone goes, "Hello, sir. Would you like to know how much in your account?" In this day and age, such as we've evolved from just banking such as HSBC and NatWest to even a modern day banking app, which is called the Monzo app. Now, what's cool about Monzo is the fact that when you normally buy something on the HSBC, if you open your app, the receipt for the money or normally takes about 3-4 working days to process. But in this day and age with Monzo, when you actually pay for something, you could actually see popping up on your phone straight away, notifying you of your transaction. Our good friend. Everyone thinks, some people might think they don't have a friend, but we all have that one friend. Notification. Notification is doing a lot of good and bad, really, to our society. We've become so addicted to mobile phones and always trying to find out what's next, that I feel like it makes it interesting for us, and it gives me a different view on where we're going to be going in the next generation. Now, a question to some of our AFB board members. I'll start with you, Shayla. If you could just tell us your name, your role, and what is your favorite app on the phone?
Thank you, putting me on the spot right there. My name is Shayla Souza. I work for Arup. I'm a telecoms consultant, and I work on the railway industry. So basically, I do network design, security design, and control design for communication systems on the railway. So my favorite app or app that I'm addicted to, I would have to say that I'm gonna say it's Instagram. not because I'm posting on Instagram, but because
Yeah.
every time a notification comes in, I have to see it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
So
that would be,
that's what you're addicted to then.
yeah,
Thank
a
you,
bit
Thaddeus.
shameful.
Thanks very much. Move on to you, Thaddeus. What about yourself?
Yeah, hey, I'm Thaddeus Smur. My role, I'm engineering manager projects. I'm a chemical engineer, but I'm kind of like a program and project manager now. And my favorite app, it's probably the Gmail and the whole G Suite, because yeah, that's the one,
Yeah,
like a notification coming in from Google Calendar or one of the different email addresses in the G Suite. And I also
fantastic.
I'm on top of that.
That's your good pleasure. I'll move on to myself quickly. Samuel, I'm a telecoms engineer. I work for WSP, similar to Shayla as well, designing networks and security systems for different rail environments. My favorite app on my phone is YouTube. I am obsessed with watching videos of different people. I like interviews. I would probably say within the last 5 years, I've probably seen more than between 500 or 1,000 interviews. Just I like listening to people speak on different topics, and yeah, YouTube is my obsession when it comes to apps. What about yourself, Aya?
Hi, my name is Ayo Abidokum, and I am an electrical engineer working for EDF. I work on the Sizewell C project. And my favorite app is Spotify. I think that's the one app I open every day without fail. I love my music,
Yeah,
and I love when you get notifications of like people you follow, new music that could suit your recommendations. So yeah, I think Spotify is my
your
app.
favorite app. Thanks very much. And what about yourself, Chi?
Right. Again, thanks for putting us on the spot. Hi, everyone. My name is Chief Adinjoku. I am an electrical engineer. I work for ARP. I am in the wastewater infrastructure design team. If you asked me this question 3 weeks ago, I would have said Instagram. But in the past 3 weeks, I've tried to wean myself off Instagram because I found that out that I was just mindlessly scrolling. So I think my favorite app currently is Spotify as well, because again, I listen to music all the time. I also make use of the podcast feature as well. So if it's not music, I'm listening to podcasts. So yeah,
Gotcha.
Spotify.
Fantastic. I'm guessing with that, Sadiq on the call, so we'll move on to the next slide. So I think a question to everyone, as this is a speed network and just discussing around instant gratification. You watch one episode of Peaky Blinders and you end up realizing you're sat in front of the TV for the next 10 hours, really. Deliveroo, normally on Fridays, I normally treat myself to some Enish Nigerian restaurants sometimes. Tinder, I haven't used that in a long time. I've got a girlfriend. YouTube, it's something I use on a regular basis. And Amazon, you could basically order next day delivery as well. Now, just a question to everyone we've got on the call, really. Is patience now becoming a myth in our community?
I'm just going to start it off so that people have time to think of something to reply. In my view, people now are a lot less patient than before. We expect an answer straight away. We expect that instant gratification. We can't wait more than, even because the internet is so fast. This is something that I was just thinking about it the other day. 10 years ago, we were more than glad to wait for 2-3 hours for something to download off of the internet. And now, if it doesn't load in like a few seconds, we're like immediately upset because we don't get that instant feel to it. But yeah, please, the floor is open. So if you can unmute your mic and you want to say something, please say, give us your opinion.
I think also, like, if you look at PCs, the way PCs have gone, they've gone solid state. So when you switch them on, they are instantly on. Whereas in the old days, it would take 2-3 minutes. You could make a cup of coffee while the system booted up.
Good point. Anyone else? I'm gonna have to start calling out names because you know it's a networking event, and this is what I do when I go to networking events. I just walk up to people and basically just introduce myself. So I would like a thing where we have people voicing out their opinion. I've got George Brown. What do you think about this whole instant gratification topic?
Hi everyone. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely something that's becoming more of a relevant topic in today's world. I also believe, yeah, patience is becoming more of a myth. I think with all the apps you've listed there, there's a different ways where I think where you know, instant gratification sort of being I guess sort of satisfied more and more. So we are getting used to getting things quickly. I know myself with Amazon, when I need something, you know, I go on there, I order it. In fact, when I see something's not prime delivery, I'm always confused. I'm like, what's the meaning of that? You know, and you know, back in the day, you know, something like 3 to 5 business days was normal. Now it's something that's like an eternity. So yeah, definitely.
And just to follow up a good question, would we say it's affecting our mental health in any state and form?
I would say so, to an extent. I think in a way, especially I think with all of us engineers and other sort of types of knowledge workers, I think not only I guess our mental health in terms of our concentration, I think it's definitely affecting it. We're now used to I think trying to cure our boredom with our devices, whether it's our phones or iPads, our PCs. And I think with that, it's actually taken away the ability to concentrate on things for long periods of time. Nowadays, you find you know, people are reading a book or something, or studying or doing some work. They need to kind of take a break, take a breather, and maybe just scroll on Instagram or, you know, scroll on Facebook, just to kind of get away from that hard task essentially. So yeah, you could say that, yeah.
I totally agree. I remember reading a book once, and this quote stuck with me, which said people often confuse happiness for fun, and I think it's something that's a very big problem really in this generation. You know, which I think like we need to start looking into. Miriam, I see you just joined the call. Like I said, I'm going to be calling out names. What's your opinion regarding this topic?
I assume you mean me.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I think also just the age of social media that we're in, like having a, you know, instant response is something that people are used to these days. Especially like things like, for example, if you send a message to somebody and, you know, I was watching I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's like Social Dilemma or something.
Yeah.
And there's a particular part of it where the guy who created the bubble when someone's responding to you, and it's just something like that. That really stood out to me. It's just like, wow, when you send somebody a message, you expect to get an automatic response. The point where when you see the bubble, you're literally waiting for them to respond to you. But you know, especially since we're working from home now, a problem that I've faced is having to always be available at my desk, which is not something that actually happens in real life when we're in the office. I might be in the kitchen getting a coffee or something, we might be in the loo, but now that we're working at home, if somebody happens to call me while I'm, you know, grabbing a coffee and I'm not at my desk, it kind of brings the impression that I'm not working or I'm not, you know, as serious or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's also a danger that I've seen, that I've kind of experienced during working at home. But yeah, those are the first things that come to mind.
Aya?
I do agree with, in the present, I don't think patience is yet to be a myth. I think there's still a lot of talk about, be patient, you have to be patient with this and that. But I think in the coming future, it is going to become a myth. With all of the technology we see now, every advancement is all to make it easier for you. With Netflix, for example, you have skip intro. You don't have to play next. It plays itself like after 8 seconds after like the episode. It just plays the next episode. So you literally don't have to lift your finger to do anything. And because of the ease that comes with tech or with the new age, there's also that push to have it quickly and easily. And just to touch on the question, like the follow-up question you talked about with mental health, more and more people are preaching, you can get it now, you can do it now, work for yourself. Within 1 year, I made £1 million or something, things like that. Like, and some of them they're true, but some of them are like ridiculous. It's like, how did you do that? And I did. Yeah, so many stories.
No,
and there's the push
I
to
agree.
Follow that. It's like, oh, I don't have $1 million in the next year. Where am I failing? Like, what am I doing wrong? But years ago, if you made £1,000 in like a year, you are a superstar. But now it's not the same. And so there's that pressure from tech, from like social media and all that. But more and more people are putting that pressure on others because they've done it. Everyone too has to do it, kind of thing. Which
but with social media, really, I think this is one of the problems. We keep on thinking people actually doing it, because we had a conversation earlier between me, myself and you when I said we like to show that we're working rather than actually doing the work. So I remember when I first started as a grad, I wasn't doing anything for the first 1 week, probably doing health and safety checklist, but I was snapping all the AutoCAD. Shayla used to work with me. We used to work together then. I was basically Instagramming all the CAD files that someone had done just to show to my friends that I was actually keeping myself busy. So moving on to the next question, really. I found this interesting stats online that talked about social media worries. Really showed that 48% of people are actually worrying from my generation, the millennials. We look at the Gen X, 37. The boomers 27, and the matured ones are 50%. I don't know if anyone else's mom does this as well with this fake news on WhatsApp. I've had to tell my mom off. I feel like it's been spreading a lot of fake news as well, that it's making it tricky for us to actually filter out what's good, what's real and what's not, which is one of the things that's affecting us in this generation of where do you actually then go to get real content. On the next question, for everyone again, is there a link between instant gratification and innovation in engineering right now?
Well, I think there is. So in the sector that we work in, for example, people expect things done. When you think about transportation, people want to get to the station, railway station, they want the train to be waiting for them. They don't want to have to wait 5 seconds to get on the train. It's the reason why the undergrounds are so crowded, because people have no patience. So I think that the more innovation we have, the faster we make things, the more people expect to have things instantly, and there's no patience at all.
That's actually a good point, because I remember having a discussion with someone about train times, and apparently in a country in Asia, I forgot the country, if a train comes 10 seconds or 20 seconds late, apparently it is seen as a big problem. Who else is on the call?
That happens in Japan.
Japan, was it Japan? Yes.
Japan, yeah.
Yeah. Someone just raised their hands up. Yep. Everyone's welcome to speak, by the way.
Hi.
going back to what Nick has said, does that then mean that innovation is what drives this instant gratification, or as engineers, do we innovate based on how quickly this instant gratification changes with time?
That's a
good
really
question.
question. I'll give an opinion. It's just an opinion. I kind of think, yeah, it's the case. I think it's the other way around, where innovation, because we want things quickly, then the innovation follows through. So we're trying to, ultimately, innovation is about customer satisfaction. And so engineers start making things that are not required, but because it will make someone happy, we're calling it innovation. And sometimes it's actually negative, and maybe we should be patient, and maybe things shouldn't be so quick. And what's wrong with waiting 2 minutes before the next train comes? Or what's wrong with, maybe taking the stairs instead of the escalator all the time? Or, who knows what's next, really? That's just an opinion, obviously.
Can I add?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, I think what's actually quite interesting, some parts of engineering are actually leading others. So, for instance, even transport is being led by people like Amazon, who started off selling books. And now they really dictate how people actually engage with the retail. They're actually sending lorries onto the road, and that has become a problem for us. Before, we tried to keep cars off the road. Now we're trying to keep Mara from ordering 15 different things with 15 different drivers, delivering them to her. So I think there are certain industries that are good at preempting or actually driving customers towards what they need, Apple being a case in point. Our sort of engineering, like transport, I think sometimes we mistake people wanting things faster than things being reliable. I think what annoys people, especially during travel, is when you tell me a train is coming in 10 minutes and 15 minutes, I'm looking at my watch. So I think, especially in other parts of engineering, it's more reliability. If you tell me it's going to do this, if you tell me my train is arriving at 9:25 and it's 9:26, it just makes me so frustrated. I like, sitting, if anyone is sat on the district line, it is just, it's potluck what you get on the day, whether you make it to the office in 30 minutes or whether they make it in 20 minutes. And I think certainly in our industry, it's more about being reliable when you're managing people's time as well and expectations. And I think people will be patient if you're reliable versus trying to make something go faster. I just want to know, if you said it's arriving in 10 minutes, it has to be in 10 minutes. I shouldn't have to think it could be anywhere between 10 and 40.
That's a good point, actually.
I somehow, sorry, I was just going to say, I agree with what was said, but at the same time, I think because we're so used to getting things so fast and so immediately that we're no longer, because if we go to different countries where things are not as reliable or as immediate, people don't expect that type of service. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I'm just saying that I think the more we have it, the more we want it. So if it says 25 and it comes at 26, in some countries people will say, oh, service is fantastic. But because we're used to a certain level of service, if it says 25 and is not here at 25:50, we're like, where is our train? Kind of what you said about Japan. But the other thing that I wanted to say is, I think maybe business, or better, even money, is the driver for instant gratification, because the more we are addicted to this instant gratification, the more we'll spend money on it. So if a new iPhone comes up, we're not going to wait for 1 year to see what it does so that we can get that gratification from having new features or anything. We're going to queue up for 24 hours if we need to so that we can get that iPhone on the day that it comes out. And this is because they built a system where they're making us addicted to it, because the more addicted we are, the more we're going to buy, the more they're going to profit from it. And that's, I think, Amazon, Apple, all of these industries want that for us. I just wonder if that also plays a role. And again, this is my opinion, not a fact.
No, I agree with that, because I remember when Harrods used to have their sales in London, people used to sleep on the streets. There would be 2-3 days, they would be sleeping, waiting for this day of the sale to open, and then they would rush in to buy stuff. And I was like, wow, if you can do that, I wouldn't do that. No matter what the weather, they're sleeping out there.
That's what they do for Apple now as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
people still do that for Jordan's trainers as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think
Go on.
I think it's also depending on what you value. I think values play a big part of it and how we sort of perceive time and money. So when we, as it was mentioned by Mara before, like we expect different services when we're in different places because we know the infrastructure of things. But if we didn't have a knowledge of that, would we have the same expectations and would we value our time more? And it's all about what you value, right? So some people will spend instantly or some people will value their time more. And with the way things are going, we're sort of perceiving our time as more valuable than sort of the cost of things nowadays because we know the time it takes to make things. But with innovation, you think things are being done instantly. So you have that expectation that that value sort of decreases in a way for things.
Yeah.
That's a good point, and I think it's another thing to probably add to that is what actually defines our values these days. Normally we would expect culture or religion to I don't know, shape most people's values, but now it's like social media is the new religion in a way. Thou shalt travel 5 times in a year even though I've got no money.
Yeah.
So I that's a really good point. Anyone wants to add anything more?
I was going to say, actually, it's actually quite interesting, just to finish off that. When it comes to value and expectation, like I was saying, certain industries will start and then it falls onto other places. So things like Amazon also teach us impatience. They teach us you want something, you get it now. In fact, that one click was like a genius move. I think it pretty much is responsible for 90% of Amazon's income because it's telling somebody. And even smart things that they've done, like you buy a remote control, they suggest, do you want to buy batteries now? So in one click, you came to buy a remote control, you end up with every bit of everything around that. And that starts to feed that as a value that, you should be able to have these expectations. Therefore, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have expected my train to be on time 90% of the time. Now I do, because I just want something and I want it done now. So it's actually quite interesting. We exist in this thing of engineering where other parts of engineering actually like Apple does, they tell you want something. We're now being used to even social media telling you want something because somebody out there decided they knew how to work people's psychology and actually start to put our values around. You want something, you should get it. And you have a right to put that pressure, even on government. I mean, even now, how people respond to political and policy issues. People have voted for Brexit. It's like, we want something and we have a right to actually put demands and expectations. But as that was said earlier, some of it is also the context in which we live. If you went into parts of the world where there's no infrastructure, you're almost just glad to be alive. So we shift sometimes those values depending on some other players that are actually, Apple is prominent in the Western world and all that stuff. And they start to drive our expectations around our infrastructure, around society, even around our own engagement with our own families. People send you a WhatsApp and they expect that it should be read. Somebody actually had to introduce blue ticks to say that, well, if you must answer, just because if you've seen it, you answer it. Even our own family, you don't answer your mother in 5 minutes and it's like a crisis. She feels she's about to call. She's about to call the police. And yet I used to go away to school for 5 months or whatever, and you would only get one phone call a term to just make sure, are you okay? Are you alive? Yes. But now it's like she messaged you at 5:05 and at 5:15, she's, sending you Bible verses to make sure you haven't died,
Should there's organizations like such as Apple and I don't know Samsung, should they start sort of looking into this, or isn't that the problem at the end of the day because it's a money game? It seems in a way.
I think there are very vague ways they're looking into it to try and curb people's instant gratification and essentially being addicted to our devices. By the end of the day, that's their aim. Their aim is for us to be glued to our screens. Our attention is their commodity. That's what they're trying to get from us. So to be honest, I think they know what they're doing, and obviously they're doing it very well. And obviously to save face, they're going to put forward, different ways that aren't going to be very effective, but they're going to try and say, yeah, they're trying to solve the problem. But in reality, that is what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was thinking, so Instagram, Facebook, they all kind of hire psychologists to make sure that we do get that kick when we see a message, or when someone sends us like something that we post and stuff like that. So they understand that by giving us that chemical reaction, we will kind of be drawn to the platform, and so it's definitely beneficial to them. They have definitely tried to make sure that in terms of mental health and in terms of kind of conversations, to control how to limit the amount of bullying and the amount of negative interaction, but you can do that only to a certain extent. One thing that I was going to say is that one of the things that really gave me a lot of satisfaction is when I removed the blue tick in my WhatsApp. That really gave me a lot of peace, kind of, because I didn't, people then didn't know whether I read their messages or not. And actually I got told off a couple of times, but I'm very happy with that choice. So it's been a couple of years that my tick is off. And with your previous question, actually, I was going to say, I think that it's very attractive to company, like when they, for example, a software company or an engineering company, when they bring out a package, especially a consultancy, when they bring out a package that will give the consumers something that will be now, and something that will be, something that will be, will give that instant gratification, the package is more attractive. So we are not encouraged to be more patient or to be more, to wait for things. We are encouraged in this society kind of to have things now. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. It's kind of becoming.
That's a good point. Thanks very much. We'll move on to the next question. Now we're talking about everything which is based on now. What would happen in the future then?
I think there's one thing that sometimes happens, and you call it black swan events, and it's like basically the invention of the internet was a black swan event. Everything that was previously predicted was just found out to be false, and it comes from the idea that back in the day everybody thought swans were white, only white, they weren't black swans, but they just hadn't been to the countries where black swans were, and once they saw one, they saw so many. So it is, could we have another breakthrough technology that just transforms everything that we're doing? And the rate of innovation now, driven by the instant gratification, because we always want new products, new something, is actually just pushing the idea that we might even just have that kind of breakthrough.
I mean, can I just I ask another question, and kind of to add to your question, is like with artificial intelligence and with the power of that, what's there, there's a potential to really innovate so much. So the future, what do people think about artificial intelligence and how that affects our the medium to long-term future?
Yeah, artificial intelligence is used by Google, So when you do a Google search, you suddenly find the same searches appearing in your Facebook, in Instagram and stuff like that, And it's amazing how they track what you're buying, what you're spending money, what websites you're visiting,
Hi everyone.
I would like, okay.
Yeah, pardon me, sorry. I came in late, so I just want to come up to speed. Are we talking about the positive impact of artificial intelligence, or are we speaking about the possible, or just the pros and cons, both sides?
So the main core of this discussion is about instant gratification And the lack of patience is in this day and age, really, where we don't have to wait for stuff anymore. So this is just the final part of the conversation. We talked about, you know, the past, the present, now this is sort of in the future, and discussing what impact will technology, you know, have on us as people, really, in terms of instant gratification.
I think we should dial back as human beings. We should stop being over impatient. We were not made to be impatient. Impatience has caused us more harm than good, right? So I think, to be honest with you, we need to be more patient and we need to slow down. We're moving a bit too fast to nowhere. That's my own opinion. And the impatience is showing itself in our day-to-day relationships. Many people do not even know how to communicate with others normally anymore if they're not using technology. That's not right. We weren't made to talk to devices. We were made to talk to each other. So let's use the tools as what they are, tools, and let them not use us. That's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Someone said something about topic of privacy, which is really a really good one. If you could just, you know, talk about that.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, my name is Tess, and I am for the first time in this framework. I'm not native speaking English really well, but I'll try to be a little bit concise. I was recently on a webinar organized by Naomi Klein, and she invited one of the eminent speakers. I didn't retain the name of the speakers, but the main topic was that during COVID, this time of lockdown, that both digital companies become super rich, and also at the same time, the price we pay for increasing their profit is so that our privacy is being under threat. So. I don't know how to explain it, but like we get addicted so fast with the speed, etc., of the services, but at the same time, our digital security is not provided at all. So the price we are paying for the services, for like a speedy, more convenient, time saving, but at the same time, you know, like you are allowing kind of a thief to come and to take something such important thing like as your privacy is. So I don't know if I was clear enough, but I mean, when we discuss about these commodities as a speedy internet, etc., but at the same time we don't put on the table, we'll discuss like privacy issues and actually the price we pay for that. So I think it's like might be missing. We as a customer we might missing a really important things to us, because all this speed is connected to our life. It's not fragmented. It's not only commodity, but also our accounts, information about us is using in a political agenda as well. You know what I mean? I don't know if I was clear enough.
No, I definitely understand what you were talking about in terms of. I think privacy. It's another question to everyone. It's privacy now become something that's. It's a myth, you know. Is there such thing as being private anymore once your information goes online on your phone?
I don't think there's any such thing as privacy anymore, in the sense that once you log into anything, some form of information has been exposed, and we can't say that we have everything on. You can keep everything to yourself, and I think it's just a truth that we have to accept now. Yeah, major things you can keep as much as you want. So, like for instance, I have a family member that she doesn't do online banking because she's like, oh, all the data, you know, that just to protect herself. But some of that data, unknowingly, when she clicks on like cookies and things online, that same information that she's trying to protect has already gone out because she's not even thinking about it, and that's just what we live. That's just the world we live in. Like when you set up your computer with the details and like, yeah, with just the little things we do now with technology exposes you to so much. We don't necessarily see all the fine prints, but I don't think there's going to be much with privacy in the future. We can try, but it's going to be really hard not to go back to the days where you could keep everything to yourself, kind of thing. But that's just my thought.
I wonder. Sorry.
I think also, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I think also in the medium to long term, I think it's going to be a problem where I think anyone above the age of 20 understands where this is leading to, because we can relate to when technology wasn't as advanced as it is now, and we can go back and be like, things weren't the same. We used to actually talk to people and actually interact, whereas anyone younger than 20 who's going to be like our age like soon doesn't know anything besides this. They don't know anything besides TikTok and WhatsApp and Instagram and all of these things, where I think it's going to be a very, very bad mental effect on this. Also, remember someone referenced the social dilemma earlier. It's literally going towards that, and the privacy issue as well, where we're literally not going to know exactly what each and everyone wants. It's literally just going to be based on what your phone tells you. And I think it becomes a thing where we almost need to monitor everyone's daily usage of the phone and then relate that to the problems that they have or the problems which they think they have. And yeah, I just think it's going to be a problem where depression and all these other mental aspects are going to be a big problem as technology develops.
Yep.
I was going to say, I wonder, because obviously this is a forum with a lot of engineers and all. I wonder if us as I know not 20-year-old or 18, but the new future generation of like engineers are going to create new ideas and new purposes, if there is anything that we can do in terms of what we're creating so that we can limit or possibly, I mean, it's too late to change completely, but like kind of adapt the way that we deal with social media and interact with the world. And even potentially, we're not legislators, but as engineers, is there a way that we can deal with technology so that even our privacy can be somewhat protected?
I have a quick suggestion on that. I think someone said it already, like having a new legislation. I don't think there's much for in terms of cybersecurity and on the online platform. I also think this might sound funny, but I think maybe in the future when you register your social media account, maybe put your passport number or something in there. You know, people are saying crazy stuff online and literally getting away with it. A footballer, Wilfred Zaha, was basically racially abused on Twitter by a 13-year-old kid, and you know, all he had to do was, you know, just say sorry. You know, and it affects a lot of people mentally. So I think maybe that's a way to basically, you have to validate yourself by putting your passport number on there, or putting your house address. Doesn't mean anything, but a way of accountability is really important in going forward to solving this problem, in my opinion.
I can add something as well. I think like the most important thing about the privacy these days can be like increasing the awareness as well. Like at least like especially for young people, like you should know so how far like these like advertising companies or all your information is going to be shared online, and you should know about it, because like as you may know, like for example, like adverts, they use this kind of information to constantly feed you with what you may like search out of curiosity, maybe one time, like they just keep feeding you what you've just searched once, like on internet for like a week or two, which can just play as a revelation role or something for you, or in different kind of like subjects, which is really important. Like I think like at least we need to know, because like it's increasing, and in future it who knows what will happen, as all of our devices, like our phone, like Apple is just introducing some new gadgets every year, like, and everything is connected together. Your watch is connected to your phone to your speaker. All these are connected, and who knows that your Siri is not listening to you like right now. So that's the thing, like, and it's growing very fast every day. Like, we should know, and we should be careful about that. At least, like, increasing awareness, I think, is one of the main things in my mind. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Good point. Anyone else?
I think cybersecurity is one of the big problems that's going to happen, because quite often when you join something, they give you a big agreement and you normally just say, I agree, you know, and nobody ever reads it. And you just say, I agree, and you don't know what you're agreeing to, you know. And if something goes wrong, then they say, oh, you agreed, you signed the agreement, you know.
Yeah. No, that's really true. You know, like every time we get an iOS update on my iPhone, I don't even bother. And I think it's maybe naive of me to trust other people to look after me.
Yeah.
You know, so I just click agree anyway, and you know, someone ends up selling my data. Selling data is the new Asda or Sainsbury's these days. People
exactly. That's it.
Definitely. Yeah. So when it comes to data, so I'm a co-founder of a little startup, and having data as a part of our business, we never even thought of it, but it's now become an integral part and another revenue stream for us, because the importance of data, and in the society that we live in now, data is so important for everyone. Like, knowledge is power, and that's what data is. It's knowledge, right, on our behaviors and our habits and how we operate in society. When it comes to we were talking in the chat a little bit about it's the power that we give these companies with our data and accepting it, but I think it's also accountability and responsibility, because when we get the terms and conditions, there's no, it's inaccessible for certain people. So if you have learning difficulties or you struggle to read and it's a different language, there's that inaccessibility to read. And because our attention spans are shorter, or becoming shorter because of instant gratification, we talked about, reading such, you know, longer T's and C's becomes out of scope. It becomes so difficult that we just want to get on with things. So it's about accessibility and the responsibility of the companies to provide that to us as well. And as engineers, I think, hold our companies that we work for accountable for our products and services. And that's the way things will change as well, because they've become so integral in our society. We can't really shut down on all of these services and boycott them entirely as an individual.
No.
You know, we're dependent on them.
Oh, not too much. No, I agree. Like one thing I did, I feel like since COVID started, really, there's been too much going on. So I just turned off all the notification on my phone, really, because I realized every time I was doing even a work in the office, the phone notification goes off. I just pick up the phone and start texting for 5-10 minutes. So I think we have to sort of set a certain strategy in sort of restricting ourselves from falling for the trap. In terms of parents out there, what advice would people give to I don't know, people with kids to stop them from falling into this trap deeper?
I would say, first of all, let people watch The Social Dilemma, and then begin to understand that these techie guys don't even let their kids go near technology until a certain age. I don't know why we're giving our kids that are very young phones, smartphones. What are they doing with it? If we need to keep in contact with them, keep the phones as simple as possible. Punch keypad phones, not smartphones. They don't need it. It's a distraction. So we need to put the discipline back into parenthood. Stop being a parent who is just like anything goes. Oh, he says he wants this. Yes, you have the wherewithal to provide. Discipline the kid. That's how they will stop instant gratification.
But I think it's also keeping up with the Joneses.
Okay.
You know, when you see your friends with the latest phones, the kids want that. You know, it's like if you got the latest trainers, you know, latest clothes, people all wanting to catch up with their friends, you know, irrespective of whether their parents can afford to buy the stuff or not,
you know.
Yeah, I think they can catch up with normal phone calls. They don't have to use apps. Yeah, they don't have to use
Can I say
apps.
something? Hi, everyone. My name is Ify. Sorry, my camera is off. I'm somewhere where I can really turn it on right now. Well, I mean, I agree with you to an extent, but I feel like right now, smartphones are doing more than just texting, or they're doing more than just posing, or having a phone just because everyone else is having it. Social media is such a powerful thing, and maybe in the past we've rubbished it and said, oh, it's a distraction, it's this, it's that. But if you guys know what's going on in Nigeria, everything literally started off from Twitter. Everything is being collated, everything is being supported through Twitter. So having this advantage for, obviously, probably like an age limit. I know maybe from, I don't know, 12 or whatever, but I think it's quite important. And then technology is moving, the age is moving, everyone is becoming very, very savvy and very advanced. There might be a limit to it, but I don't think it's something we should cut off completely. I think in the past, it was more like, oh, you want to pose and you want to do guy and you want to feel among with your friends. But now there's actually a need for technology, and there's an actual need for social media, because we're seeing how we can channel the power and make it, go far and make it cause a positive change. So maybe there should be some moderation in that, but I don't think completely we should decide to strip them off it.
Do you think, on that note, that we should look to create, like as you said, now Twitter helped with the EndSARS movement in Nigeria. Do you think that technology should now move towards like strict purpose-based applications that we can draw to? Like, should we create platforms where we need to talk about social injustices on specific platforms to avoid the negative impacts of these, like Twitter? Yes, social media has positive and negative effects, but do you think we should create more platforms which are strictly for addressing issues in countries?
I think we can do. Okay.
Sorry, I guess that would help to a certain extent, but then there's also the danger of only having a certain kind of person accessing that sort of platform. Like, I think the good thing about social media is that it informs people that otherwise wouldn't know about it, or are not really kind of interested in, like, I don't know, politics or social injustice, whatever. But if you have just platforms that are solely just for that sort of thing, you might be missing a large audience.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think also that, I mean, if we decide to do that, it wouldn't be so bad, but then I don't think it should be the entire focus of social media. Like, if you need to be on there for like a focus group or like for a focused reason, and we know that all the information is coming from this particular platform, that's fine. But obviously that can't replace the entire social media, because definitely, aside from social reforms, activists and all of that, there's still entertainment on social media, so I don't think it should replace that completely. And sorry, just to say again, from what I was saying earlier, I feel also that it's time that we do away with this whole for lack of better words, I would say strict mentality, and think that if we deprive the younger people of something, it would make them more disciplined, or it would make them want to, it would shelter them or whatever. There are other ways to go about it. You don't have to deprive them and be strict. I know, sorry, this might go a bit into parenting and whatnot, but I think that's one way to look at the whole social media thing. Depriving and trying to withhold technology might not be the entire solution. There are other ways to meet you halfway, so you can actually get the benefits of social media and still, creating that balance with your kid or with the younger generation.
Thank you very much. And we'll just wrap it up and move to the final lesson. I think that we've all covered really. Like a typical instant gratification. If I don't see the results in 1 or 2 weeks, I'm defeated. We know a lot of people that basically started business, and because the business then blow up, I mean, become popular within a couple of years, that was a failure. So I think we have to basically start evolving our mentality really into a positive one. Just to wrap this up now, thanks to some of the AFB members that have made this happen. If you want to contact people on LinkedIn, you could also put your LinkedIn names in the chat box. I'm sure people would lovely send you a friend request. We got Shayla. Shayla, any more words, last words?
Yeah, I think this was a very interesting discussion. Honestly, I think the different viewpoints and the different perspectives, it's definitely a food for thought, because we might be very focusing or thinking very much in one way, but listening from another perspective. And this is the great thing about being in engineering or being in technology, is that you can listen to the different viewpoints and actually design for that, progress the world with what we hear and try to adapt it to suit most or the majority of people's needs. So yeah, this was very interesting. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you very much. Ayo?
Yeah, this, like, I just follow on what Sheila said. That, yeah, this was a really good event. I think one final thing for me, and it's about all of this short-term pleasure, if I put it that way. I'm reading a book currently, and literally the chapter I'm on talks about this. And sometimes instant gratification it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it could be a good thing, given that, whatever you reward yourself with now, or however you reward yourself now, it's not detrimental to your future, or detrimental to the future of what you're going to be doing or whatever it is. So finding things that have positive aftermaths later on, it's okay to gratify in the moment. I'm just thinking about the future as well. So yeah, I think, like I said, this was a really good thing and something for us to think about. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks very much. And Thaddeus?
Yeah, I would just kind of echo a little bit what Sheila said. It was great to hear the different perspectives from people and have this open discussion. And it's such a kind of issue that's really up to date, because it is, on the one side, the ultimate solution, but on the other side, it's also something that can be quite scary and has also a lot of negative effects. And that is, as engineers, with the technology that we build, we do have a responsibility to society as well. We also invented the nuclear bomb. So it's something that we should carry with us when we're going out and being world changers.
Thanks very much. And Chi?
Yeah, just again, echoing what everyone has said, and saying thank you to everyone for attending. As always, I would always try to plug university events. So one of the positive things we've done at AFE and Sparing Innovation in what we do is we've been able to move one of our core events online. We've got a transition event coming up on the 27th. So if you know anyone currently in university or just leaving university, we've got a careers workshop coming up in collaboration with Mott MacDonald. They are a global engineering consultancy firm. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to provide you with tools, to get that job, especially in this current season that we're in. So yeah.
Thanks very much. And Samuel, top right, you can add everyone on LinkedIn. Just to thank everyone for coming to the event. May I mention though, AFB has got a fantastic opportunity for a software engineer at Microsoft. So, if you think you're up to the job and you believe in yourself, hey, we'll love to see your CV and hopefully help you with our AFB platform. If you want more fantastic events done by AFB, we've got them all listed on the website, so you could check us out. Feel free to put your LinkedIn account on there for people to network with you. But yeah, it's been good seeing everyone really. Thanks guys for making this happen. Try not to use your phone too much, by the way. Have a good day, everyone.